How's it going, everybody? I'm Kris Keefer, and guess what? 2022 season is here. Thank you for joining us on RacerXOnline.com. You are looking at the CRF450R 2022 version. Now, for 2022, with all manufacturers, except for maybe one or two, the key word is refinements. As you guys know, the pandemic has slowed the R&D process down somewhat. Honda went to work for 2022 and revalved each end, shock and fork, different valving inside there, as well as ECU settings. As far as the other bits and pieces of the bike, it's the same as 2021. But those are the two key points that I had a problem with on the 2021 version. So we're at Glen Helen Raceway here today, and you guys sometimes hit me up and go, why Glen Helen? Well, for me, I chose Glen Helen to do this bike, to get the information out to you, because if there is a track that this bike suffers on, it's here at Glen Helen. High speed, on the edge of your tires. This chassis, this bike, doesn't really like that. In 2021, is a little bit nervous. So with the changes that Honda made, I go, why not? Why not come back here, ride something rough, get you guys the information that you need. Since there's not a lot of changes, come back to the track that it does things not so great. So we're gonna dive into this thing today. I'm gonna get back to you, I'm gonna gear up, and then we're gonna really oversee every bit and piece of this machine, even if it's not overhauled. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Back. We just rode, and I say we, there's another Kris here. Kris Fagala. How old are you?
55.
55. What is the skill level these days?
I would say a Vet A rider.
Vet A, okay.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means, yeah. It could be SoCal A guy. So we just got off the 22 CRF450R. Just like what I said in the introduction, I chose Glen Helen because it's choppy, rough. A lot of pros out here today getting ready for Ironman, so a good test for this Honda. Now, what Honda did for 22 is made some ECU tweaks. They wanted to get a little bit extra hold up in the fork and to get a little bit more compliancy out of the shock. Past that, it is a 21. So a lot of you guys talk to me and say, hey, what should I buy? I got to get a deal on a 21, or should I get a 22? If it was me right away, right now, if I could save over $1,000, I would just buy a 21 and then use that to go towards suspension or whatever. So back in 21, Honda dealerships did do a reflash to this ECU, and that's basically what this 22 mapping is what they're flashing your 21s are. So just wanted to get that out of the way so you guys know. So on the track right now, the biggest question that I get is, what does it feel like compared to last year's bike? Well, there is a little bit more hold up in the front. Kris and I can both agree, get in here, Kris. Kris and I can both agree that I would like to say the first half of the fork bump absorption is really nice. To me, less harsh, less deflection, but once you get past that point, it does seem to ramp up pretty quick. So if it was me, I'm 170 pounds, I would stiffen mine up a little bit. So I'd go +2 on the compression, and then I even slow my rebound down just to kind of keep it up a little bit and then keep it in that nice, comfortable part of the suspension. So you come off of a KTM.
Yes.
This is why I brought Kris in here, because he can really compare to you steel frame guys. You've had a 09, God bless you, 09. He had a 2013, so he missed the mark on the Honda years, right? So What you think?
So my overall impression of it is it's a good bike. It's very rideable. It turns amazing. The lean-in angle is good. The entrance to the corners are good. Like you mentioned on the suspension, about the first third of it, I love. It's nice and plush and soft. But once it gets into that mid-stroke, it starts to get stiff really fast. I never bottomed it out, which is good and comforting. Never felt any head shake or anything like that. But I did feel some deflection off braking bumps or some hard hitting bumps going up the hills.
Yeah, today is really edgy at Glen Helen. So another thing I felt with the shock, I'm about 105 millimeters of sag right now. If I have a slow corner with like a single coming out of it, and there's a square edge or a what we call a knuckle on top of this jump, there's a little bit of deflection in the rear. So what I do here at Glen Helen, any kind of faster tracks with chop, I speed the rebound up, and that does help calm it down. So you would think it would make it worse, but in effect, it's allowing that rear end, that tire, to stick to the ground better instead of deflect. So opening up that rebound will soften it up and let it move more, and that frees it up. So there is some, I like to call better track toughness with this setting on the fork and the shock. But still, overall for me, look, you're not going to get a 22 and be like, oh my God, the chassis is way less rigid. If you're coming off from an older bike, like a 2013, I asked Kris this earlier, does it feel less rigid? And he even said, yeah, it feels way more compliant, right?
Yeah, it feels way better. The geometry of the bike is better. It doesn't have that stink bug feel like the older ones do. But it is rigid, quite a bit more rigid than a
Coming off the KTM, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So for me, the ride attitude of this 22 is much better. I still had a little bit of low front end feeling on the 21. I tried to adjust it out, which you can, but it just still didn't have that comfort. There is more comfort with this suspension, so that is a plus. I do enjoy that. Now let's get to the engine. To me and Kris are a little bit different. I really like this engine. Map 1, to me, is my favorite map. It's a smooth, broad power. It doesn't have a lot of hit. I can roll my corners real nice. Now that it's past lunchtime, the track's beat up, I'm going to go to map 2. That's even better for me. I'm just out on map 3. For me, if you're a heavier guy riding sand, that's where you want to go with map 3. That is better. But I will mention this. I still get a little bit of decel pop with this ECU setting. I do have some time on this bike previously before production, and the ECU settings seem to be clean, but for whatever reason, I'm going to run through a tank of gas or 2 here today and see if that helps it along. But initially today, we had some decel pop, right?
Yeah, we got a little bit of decel pop and actually a little bit of top end pop.
Yeah. So that could be just the fuel, so we're going to try to quarterback that a little bit. But the overall engine, man, it's not as hard hitting as a 2020 engine. The 21 engine is the same as this, obviously, with this ECU setting. So rolling your corners is really easy to do. It doesn't rev out like a KTM, like we talked about earlier. But in the world of 450s, this thing will rev out farther than, a KX450 or a YZ450F. So engine-wise for you, how do you feel?
I like the engine. It's got good, clean power, and like you said, it doesn't pull as long as hard as the KTM does, but it's very predictable, and it's good roll on. It's good through the mid range, and when you get up to the very top end, it kind of signs off a little bit. But that's a long ways.
Yeah, and you're coming off a KTM where it revs quite a bit,
it
right?
Keeps on going. You can't rev it out.
We did talk about, for us, what we would like out of this engine. We would like a little bit more luggability. Third gear is what I like to call a heavenly gear in a 450 standard world, right? Us older guys and even the younger guys, the proper way to ride 450 is a gear high. You want to get a low RPM to calm the chassis down, but this thing seems to like to be revved, even though it doesn't rev that high. I try to lug it in third gear, and it just doesn't seem to want to pick it up. So a gearing change would be in order. You felt the same thing?
Yeah, I would probably add a tooth to the back end.
Yeah. Do the Jody, that's what we call it.
Yeah.
So we'll do the Jody to this. Jody's probably going to mention that in his media content. You guys can check that out, I'm sure. But add a tooth or 2. I even go to a 1453, and to me, that calms the chassis down when it's under load, and you can ride third gear. So that is an option for you Honda guys too. You can always email me, Kris@KeeferIncTesting.com, and I will tell you every little trick and torque spec that you can do. I don't want to make this a 45-minute video because your wife will be mad, your work will be mad, you'll be sitting here on the computer all day. So we don't want to do that. But ergonomically, there's nothing better than a Honda for me. I sit on it, feels good. I wish we had a little bit more compliant bar, but the bar bend is great. This new 839 bend is awesome. The grips are a little harsh to my hand and fat, but ergonomically, coming off of your KTM, which is a different bike feeling-wise, how do you feel when you get on the track first lap on this thing?
I immediately felt good.
Yeah.
Like I jumped on and felt good. The bar placement was good. The ergonomics of it are good. The balance is good. It sits right. Front and back suspension are equally matched. And I'm a little heavier than you. I'm about 187, but it still felt good for me, your settings.
Yeah, so for me, there is a problem. The seat, when this thing breaks down, whoo! Man, if you ride back here and you compress, you're riding on that subframe. So Guts makes an aftermarket foam that I like. It's a little bit more square. This has a round edge to it, and you'll squish right through that and ride the rail of that subframe. And I'm telling you guys, after about a day or two of riding this thing at Glen Helen, oh boy, your butt is hurting. So if that starts to squish and you start feeling a little bit of a harsh feel in your rear, you're probably riding on those rails of subframe, so you might want to get that looked over. Overall, man, like I like the hydraulic clutch. He's coming off of a Brembo. Any difference between the Nissan and the Brembo for you?
I didn't notice any difference, no.
So I'm a cable guy, but I don't mind this clutch at all. I did a couple starts here today. It's pretty linear. I like that feel. Again, 22 is a refinement year, right? So Honda did get a little bit better. We're not day and night difference. Like I said, if you can find a deal on a 21, that is great. I would suggest you doing that, save yourself some money. But chances are there's probably not a lot of 21s left with the pandemic. There is no bikes on dealership floors. So the 22 is a little bit better bike in stock form, and I do enjoy to ride it. Is it my favorite bike to ride? No, but it is slowly, steadily getting better. So let's hope as the years progress, the Honda is going to get a little bit more comfortable to ride in stock form, and it could attract some more riders. So the question is, what people are going to ask me, so I'm going to ask you. You ride a KTM. Let's just wipe the slate clean.
Yeah.
Would you buy a Honda with your own money? Silence.
I would not right now. I'd still buy the KTM.
In what order do you think this would be for you down the list if you're going to buy bikes right now?
It'd definitely be second.
Okay, so second's actually pretty good. Like I was expecting to say third, but for me, right now it would be ranked at about a third or a fourth for me down on the list to buy. But what I do like about Honda is there's a lot of reliability. You're on the, how many generations out from the new one, right? And that gets better and better over time. It's quality, it's Honda. They're great with warranties. There's great dealerships out there that back this bike a lot, and it's only going to get better and better as the years go on. So kudos to Honda. If you guys have any questions as well, you guys know the email. You can hit me up. And don't forget, it's 22 season. We are going to have shootouts, so I could be eating my words. We're going to have all different types of riders and skill levels, and you never know where this bike can rank. We're pretty transparent over here at Racer X, so as always, our door's open. If you have any questions, you can hit us up. Don't forget, subscribe. You read magazines?
No, I don't.
Oh, my gosh. You know what? I do. This Kris does.
I listen to him now. I'm a listen guy.
He's a listen guy. All right, 12 issues, $30. Get yourself a free pair of underwear. Do you wear underwear?
Saks.
Okay. Ethica underwear, $30. You can get it. 12 issues. There's a lot of cool stuff in the Racer X magazine that is not available digitally. So I still get it. I still pay for it, and I get a box of Racer X to my house. So I support the sport. Racer X does a great job. Get yourself 12 issues and get some free underwear. It's a great deal. We'll see you on the next go-around, and hopefully shootout time in about a month. So we'll see you back here, racerxonline.com.